Chosen one, you have no idea how dangerous you've become. Not to the innocent, but to systems, manipulators, those souls who feed on your fear and submission. Not because you're cruel or aggressive, but because you no longer know fear. You cannot be controlled. You cannot be bound. Today, let's explore why your fearless energy shakes to the core those who once lived off your doubt and obedience. 1. You don't chase love or validation. You are the frequency that attracts it. Chosen one. In the past, you confused attention with love. You thought that if someone saw you, praised you, validated you, then that was love. And so you began to trade. You dimmed your light, bent your truth, sacrificed your personal needs, just to be chosen, just to feel worthy. You once believed, if I'm not chosen, then I must not be enough. If I'm not acknowledged, then perhaps I'm not worthy. You stepped into a performance where you couldn't be yourself just to get scraps of attention from people who never deserved you. But now you have awakened. You remember, you don't need to be chosen because you are the chooser. You don't need to ask for love because you are love. No more chasing, no more striving. You become the frequency that real love automatically gravitates toward. Why does this terrify them? Because when you stop seeking validation from outside, you become an uncontrollable light. You don't need them. You don't need applause. You don't need anyone's permission to shine. Your self-sovereignty exposes their emptiness. Your wholeness reveals their lack. All their old tricks, manipulation, diminishment, ignoring no longer work. You learn to bake your own whole loaf, and now you are no longer hungry. How this shapes your quantum reality. Since you no longer vibrate as someone who needs love, you stop attracting painful lessons, unhealthy relationships. You begin attracting souls on your frequency. Those who come not to fill you, but to share wholeness with you. Opportunities, community, work, everything shifts. No more dependency, no more needing to prove yourself. You simply show up as yourself, and blessings follow. You don't have to strain for recognition. You don't have to perform to be loved. You embody wholeness, and a soul nurtured from within can never go hungry for approval again. Chosen one. You don't need to be chosen, you are the chooser. You don't chase love, you are the frequency of it. And that makes you uncontrollable. 2. You speak your truth, even when your voice trembles. Chosen one. There was a time you believed silence was safety. You held back your feelings. You suppressed your tears. You silenced the truth, just to keep things peaceful, just so no one would be upset, just to avoid being labeled too sensitive, too dramatic, too difficult. You thought silence was the wiser choice. But the truth is, you sacrificed yourself to maintain that silence. You smiled on the outside while your soul bled inside. But then, something sacred awakened within you, a truth you could no longer suppress. A voice you recognized deeply. It wasn't just your own, it was the voice of liberation. You began to speak. Your voice may tremble, your hands may shake, your heart may race, but you speak. Not to rebel, but to let truth survive. Not to win, but to free yourself and others who are smothered. Why does this terrify them? Because manipulators, false systems, souls living in darkness, they need your silence to survive. They need your consent. They need your quiet submission to continue controlling. But now, you are the blade of light. Just a single, I see you. One genuine gaze, one heartfelt word, can crumble their entire illusion. Even before your voice speaks, your energy sends the message. There's no place for lies here. Your trembling doesn't weaken you. It makes your truth undeniable. Because it comes from the deepest core of your soul. It resonates with the universe. How this shapes your quantum reality. Each time you speak your truth, you raise your frequency. You cleanse your energy field. You attract real souls. You repel those who aren't aligned. No argument needed. No cutting ties needed. Authentic living alone drives away fakes. You no longer perform. You live in a reality freed by truth. You don't have to shout to be heard. You don't have to win every argument. You just need to speak your truth from the heart. And your truth is a mantra of liberation. a blade that cuts chains, the sound that wakes sleeping souls. Chosen one, even a whisper from you can shatter chains. Speak, even if you tremble, even if you stand alone, even if you're not understood yet. Each authentic word is a declaration for humanity's awakening. 3. You follow your intuition like a sacred GPS. Chosen one. In the past, you got lost in the world's noise. You heard too much, but felt too little. You let others decide who you should love, what you should do, who you are, where you go. You asked, will they approve? Does this make sense? You shut down your inner whisper to fit in. You always knew. That inner knowing, instinct, whisper, was always right. But you silenced it for temporary peace. Then, your third eye opened, not through knowledge, but via soul memory. You remembered. Intuition is sacred guidance from dimensions your mind cannot grasp. It's not loud. It doesn't make logical sense, but it's always right. So now, instead of asking what do they think, you ask, what does my soul know? You stop seeking permission. You begin to listen and act from within. Why does this terrify them? Because they cannot manipulate someone who knows themselves. They cannot deceive someone who trusts their inner clarity. They cannot make you doubt yourself, because you now trust your own soul with clarity. Those who live off confusion, dependence, pliability, lose all power when you trust your intuition. How this shapes your quantum reality. Your intuition doesn't just guide. It leads you to your highest soul timeline. It helps you avoid traps before they arrive. Embrace miracles spontaneously. Meet the right people at the right time on the right frequency. You live on a frequency others cannot reach, and in that frequency you are protected, guided, and led. You don't need everything to make sense. You don't need a perfect plan. You just need to feel if your soul is guiding. Chosen one. You follow a GPS encoded by your soul. It doesn't speak in words, it vibrates. It doesn't rely on a map, it's incarnational. And most sacredly, you learn to trust it. Even when logic says impossible, if your intuition says go, you go. Each step brings you closer to mission, love, abundance. Your intuition is the superpower they can never take away. 4. You think for yourself, your mind is sovereign. The thought no one else can colonize. Chosen one. In the past, your mind was like an open field. So many seeds could be planted: family beliefs, societal expectations, rumors, cultural pressure, all of it like a dusty layer clouding your soul. You once believed those things were truth, but now you've awakened. They were only borrowed beliefs. Your third eye has opened. You no longer swallow everything just because it's spoken loudly. You no longer accept things just because they seem reasonable. You pass every thought through your soul's curriculum. Is this true to myself? Is this truth or programming? And when you ask these questions, you reclaim control. Your mind is no longer a battlefield, it is a sanctuary. Why does this terrify them? Because the system exists on blind minds. They need you to be controllable, manipulable. But when you think independently, no voice can steer you. You are no longer a puppet. You are the one holding the strings. No media, ex-partner, friend circle, or social norm can program you anymore. You see through the game and you walk away from it. How this shapes your quantum reality. Free mind, equal choices from the soul. You no longer act out of fear of rejection, criticism, shame. You choose from inner light and soul vision. And when you act from truth, you attract truth. Opportunities, connections, people. Everything begins synchronizing. You don't need to argue or explain. You just need to see and act on that vision. Chosen one. Your mind is now inviolable territory. No one can rewrite it, program it, or manipulate it. And that is true spiritual freedom. 5. You follow excitement over approval. You follow the path of soul, not applause. Chosen one. Once upon a time, you chose the safe path out of fear of not being accepted. You asked, will they support this? Will I disappoint them? You let the world's voices shape your inner journey. But now, You've awakened. Now you hear the vibration deep within your soul, the call of excitement. You realize inspiration is not just comfort, it is the map from your higher self. It is the flame guiding you to the purest version of you. You no longer act for approval. You act from your inner light, not from the logic of others. Why does this scare them? Because this world runs on obedience. It needs you to stay in line. But you no longer wait for permission to walk forward. You cannot be predicted. You move with light, not with limits. And that's why the system can't contain you. How this shapes your quantum reality? When you follow inspiration, you exit the old timeline and step into your soul's true timeline. You no longer attract recycled paths of fear. You draw in jobs, people, situations that match your highest vibration. You become a magnet for everything truly meant for you. You no longer need a societal scorecard. You no longer chase applause. You move because your heart is stirred. And when you choose like that, you become living proof. When you follow your inner joy, you meet the right place, the right person, at the right moment. 6. You set boundaries without guilt. You set sacred lines with no apology, no drama. Chosen one. Once you were an open door, always forgiving, always available, always sacrificing for others, even when they hurt you over and over again. You said yes while your soul screamed no. You explained, justified, apologized, just to keep the peace. But then, you awakened. You realized your energy is sacred capital. Every yes to the wrong place is a no to your soul's mission. So now you protect yourself. I'm not available. That doesn't resonate with me. No apologies. No guilt. You speak softly, but your words stand firm, like someone sitting on the throne of inner power. Why does this make them uncomfortable? Because those who thrive on blur and breach need you to be easy, soft, overly forgiving, so they can manipulate. But when you build strong walls, they lose access. You no longer react to their drama, rage, or guilt trips. You're no longer responsible for their emotions. You know, their feelings are not your prison. How this shapes your quantum reality? Strong boundaries attract relationships rooted in mutual respect and truth. You reject chaos, and the universe replies with peace. You close the door on users and open wide to souls of truth. You don't need arguments or defenses. You only need to stand in your heart's no. Every time you do, a prayer echoes across dimensions, guarding the sacred temple within you. Chosen one. Your boundaries are your energetic gate. You are not lacking. You are not too much. You are worthy of respect. And every no you speak is a love song to yourself and a sacred message to the world. Love can be soft, but never weak. 7. You walk alone if you must. You are willing to walk solo if that's what the truth requires. Chosen one. Once, solitude felt like punishment. You drowned it with noise, shallow relationships, empty conversations, just to avoid hearing your inner voice. But now, you don't just endure aloneness, you thrive in it. You've discovered a sacred truth. When the world goes silent, your soul begins to speak. In those still moments, you receive intuition, ideas, healing, all from simply sitting in your own presence. Why does this make them panic? Because they once preyed on your fear of being alone. They lured you with hollow promises. They pulled you back with guilt. But now that solitude no longer scares you, they lose their power. You no longer stay because you're afraid to be alone. You stay only where your soul feels at home. How this shapes your quantum reality? Silence becomes your sacred incubation chamber. You don't waste energy on false crowds. You amplify your light in private sanctuaries. Your energy field sharpens. Your boundaries fortify like steel. Your vision becomes a sword. You don't chase the crowd. You don't beg for presence. You're willing to walk alone on the path of truth, even if others drift toward the comfort of the lost masses. Because you know, you are never truly alone. You are always connected to Source, to the stars, to all that is, every step you take on your sacred journey. 8. You don't compete, you magnetize. Chosen one. There was a time you got pulled into the invisible race. Career superiority, standout beauty, higher status. A race you never even signed up for, Yet comparison drained you and blurred your soul's true purpose. But now, you've exited the game. The only person you compare yourself to is yesterday's version of you. You're not trying to be better than. You're focused on becoming the highest expression of yourself. You create, you nurture, you upgrade in silence. You protect your ideas, your projects, your dreams, until they blossom in divine timing. No announcements, no performance. Why does this trigger others? Because those who thrive on competition need drama to feel important. They want you to react. They want you to play their game. But when you refuse to join, they lose all emotional fuel. How this shapes your quantum reality. You keep your energy clean, your frequency high. You don't waste your light comparing. You pour it fully into creating. And when you create from wholeness, you naturally magnetize opportunity, blessings and connections that match your vibration. You rise silently. You let results speak for you. No one can copy you. No one can block you. No one can predict you. Because only you and the universe know your next move. Chosen one. You don't play the game of competition. You create a current so powerful, so aligned, that everything meant for you flows in naturally. That's why you are ungovernable. 9. You trigger their shadows simply by existing. You don't even have to speak. Your presence activates truth. Chosen one. There was a time when your self-doubt made the world more comfortable with you. You were soft, agreeable, non-threatening. You didn't ruffle feathers. You stayed small so others wouldn't feel insecure. But now, you walk with unshakable peace and quiet confidence, even without saying a word. Your energy has evolved. You no longer need to shout, "I love myself." Your existence declares it. Why does this make them uneasy? Because you've become a living mirror. You reflect everything they're avoiding. Their lack of self-love, their internal chaos, their missing boundaries. Just being in your presence activates wounds in them they haven't yet healed. That's why they may avoid you, mock you, gossip, or get defensive, not because you did anything wrong, but because your light is too bright for them to face directly. How this shapes your quantum reality. When you embody your highest self, your environment naturally rearranges. Those not ready will step away. Those aligned will rise higher just by being near you. You don't need arguments. You don't need explanations. Your frequency does the filtering. You don't dim to keep others comfortable. You let your light shine fully, and those meant to walk beside you will choose to stand in that light. You are both the medicine and the mirror. Some will awaken through you. Some will retreat into their shadows. Both are sacred. Both are part of your divine mission. Chosen one. Your presence is a declaration. You are no longer a background echo. You are the light many still fear. Because you don't just show up, you remind them of who they were born to be. 10. You don't react to reality, you reshape it. You're no longer reacting to life, you are reprogramming it. Chosen one. There was a time you were pulled into every disruption. Shocking news, chaotic conversations, sudden drama. You believed circumstances had power over you, and you lived in survival mode. Constantly asking, what's happening now? How do I get through this? You followed reality's lead, and your energy followed your fear. But now, you've awakened. You've stepped out of the mirror of reaction and into the portal of creation. You've remembered. Everything outside you is a reflection of what's within. No one has the right to program your frequency unless you hand them the controller. And now, you don't. You don't react, you recalibrate. You raise your vibration, and the world begins to rearrange around your alignment. When you shift internally, a domino effect begins. Your external circumstances bend not because you fight, but because you vibrate differently. Why does this terrify them? And the matrix? Because the system survives on your reactions. It needs your outrage, your anxiety, your confusion. It keeps you in chaos, so you forget that you are the one creating the game. But now, you no longer dance to their rhythm. You are no longer predictable. You're not a pawn on the board. You are the one rewriting the board entirely. How this shapes your quantum reality. You don't wait for peace. You are peace. You don't hope for doors to open. You vibrate at the frequency that calls them to you. You don't wait for miracles. You radiate them. And the universe responds. Old timelines dissolve. Soul-aligned paths unlock. You don't get through reality. You reshape it into a match for who you've become. You don't need to shout to be heard. You don't fight to be seen. You shift within, and the external shifts as a result. You are no longer surviving reality. You are authoring a new one. Chosen one. You are the variable the matrix can't control. You are the soul that remembers. And now, let this frequency embed into your field. Say it aloud. Whisper it in stillness. 3 times a day to summon divine synchronicity. I am who I am. And that is enough. I am who I am. And that is enough. I am who I am. And that is enough. If this message resonates in your bones, declare it in the comments. I am the frequency. Let the universe see you and respond. Until next time, protect your energy, trust your quantum vision, and walk boldly with your unwavering heart. You are the light, and that light does not ask for permission to shine.